Time's up. Admiral.
Here it comes.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome to an Autopsy stream. I was supposed to do this on Thursday, but I delayed it to today, completely forgetting, because I don't watch the sports ball anymore, that it was the NFC AFC Championship games tonight. So hey, well, listen, if you're watching here live with me, thank you for joining me. If you're watching on the replay, when you're done watching football, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, check out the channel, subscribe. Help me continue to bring you this fine entertainment. So tonight, it's an Autopsy stream. It is an open door stream. The links are out there. A lot of stuff going on, though, so I don't know if anybody's going to show up. So it's just, for now, yours truly and you in the chat. Hail and howdy. Let's, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right in because I am on a bit of a schedule here. I got something else to do a little bit later this evening. So here we go. Bioware, one of, in my opinion, the greatest Western game developers in modern gaming. At least they were. Because, let's be honest, they haven't been themselves for a very long time. Even when they were still themselves, they were the servant of a greater evil, that being Electronic Arts. So what we're going to do here is now, I'm going to bring up a list, and I apologize that it's a Wikipedia list, but it was the best one I could find. It was the most cleanest. It had all the information that we need for going through the history of BioWare's games. Now, up to a point, I can't really speak on some of these because I didn't really start playing BioWare games to a certain point. But I'll do my best. But after basically the early 2000s, I'm in on most of these. I can give direct opinions because what we'll be doing here is I will be, as I do with most of these types of streams, I'll be talking about my lived history with these franchises, with BioWare, playing these games, doing these games, hanging out with other nerds and geeks, talking about it, obsessing about it. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go down the list. We're going to tell stories. We're going to talk about when it's great. And then we're going to mark the moment things started to change. At least in my opinion, things started to change. So let's get underway. Let's bring up the list. BioWare. I'm not going to go through, well, I guess we can read the history. We'll read the history of it. Let's read the BioWare history. It is Wikipedia. It's straight history. You can trust Wiki for these types of things. BioWare is a Canadian game developer based in Edmonton, Alberta. Not anymore. They're closing it. They're closing the Edmonton studios right now. It was founded in 1994 by Ray Muzyka, Greg Zeschuk, man, those are some names, and Augustine Yip. They signed a partnership with American publisher Interplay Productions to get investment and development resources for their first game, Shattered Steel, a mech simulation action game released in 1996. And from there on, it's just going to talk about everything going. So that is the origin of BioWare. Small indie game, like most developers, small and indie until right here in the mid-2000s when they were acquired by Electronic Arts. And it is in that moment, in October 2007, where things were still fine, but it's a few short years later that you start to see the problems. You start to see the rot. You start to see the disease that was EA poisoning, breaking apart BioWare. So there we go. That's where it started. Let's get to the list. So they mentioned the first game, Shattered Steel. Of course, I've never played Shattered Steel in my life. Didn't even know it existed till I was starting to check up on this type of stuff. And it doesn't really matter. It was a modest success, as it said, and it opened the door to now do other things like the original isometric top-down Baldur's Gate. That I have played. That's a fun little old school, little people on the screen running around doing adventures. It's very simple. It's got no real story to it, although it has text on it like that. It simply is, running around, killing stuff, getting your levels up, going on random little, no much story adventures. And I never beat it because you get, frankly, when I went to play it, I was already quite beyond that age group when you would have played it back then. So I wasn't very entertained anymore, and I gave up because I got bored. It was easy. I got bored. Was entertaining. But it allowed them to get a taste of making cool-ass RPGs. and they got a real taste for it. MDK 2, I don't know what that is. They made another Baldur's Gate game. We're getting through the early years because this is still they're sort of under the radar. They're not alive yet. They have just been born. They're a little screaming baby going, where, please buy our games. We make good stuff. We're passionate about what we're doing. And then it began. Neverwinter Nights. This is when they start getting attention. I didn't play Neverwinter Nights 1, excuse me. I played Neverwinter Nights 2, but that came later. So this was also PC gaming, even though it was on Mac OS, but I wasn't playing PC gaming yet. I wasn't doing any of that. I was totally into my consoles. So I missed Neverwinter Nights and all its expansions, but here it is. Here's the Big Daddy. Let's open it up right here. The Big Daddy that put them on the map. KOTOR 1, Knights of the Old Republic, a Star Wars game. One among many Star Wars games. There were many Star Wars games from LucasArts and Bioware. Well, not just Bioware, but you understand, LucasArts, they had them all over the place. And this is the great era of Star Wars games. But here's the thing. This was special. Up until this point, you just been flying TIE fighters or X-Wings, simulation. You played Super Star Wars, which is just replaying the story as you knew it. You are Luke, you're Han, you're Chewie in those games. It's just enjoying what you know. You're not putting yourself in the game. And here it comes. Xbox at the time, Xbox exclusive. Knights of the Old Republic. You are a Jedi Knight. But here's the thing. They had already pioneered it a little bit, I believe, in the first Neverwinter Nights. I can't really say it exactly because I didn't play it, but I can say that KOTOR 1, Knights of the Old Republic, this is the birth of choices matter, consequences to how you do things in the game. It opened the world. I mean, the amount of recorded dialogue that they put in this game was astounding for the time, only rivaled around this period of time by like Final Fantasy X, which was one of the first fully voiced RPGs out there. They fully voiced thing. They had everything. They made you feel like you were living in the Star Wars world, and it was glorious. I played it. I had fun. I was so enthralled because I'm a Star Wars guy. We know this. I love real Star Wars. And to do this, I'm going to say, it's the only reason I bought an Xbox in 2002, 2003. It's the only reason I bought an Xbox, so I could play KOTOR. And I loved it. It was worth it. I mean, I bought it used. I didn't buy a brand new Xbox. I didn't spend $400 or $300, whatever it was at the time, on a console just for one game. I did that for another game. I got my ass burned for other stuff, but I wasn't going to do it for that. So I bought it used. I spent, I think, like $50 getting a used Xbox from GameStop at the time. But it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And this put them on the map. This made BioWare a star. You just created a new type of RPG genre. Consequences, choices matter. Where the game adapts to what you do. And they would go on. That would be their calling card. It would be who they are. They are the ones that make these RPGs where what you do matters, to make it feel like you are a part of this universe. So KOTOR 1, massive success, which allowed them, then they would go on to make Jade Empire. I only played Jade Empire once at a friend's house. Wasn't really my thing, but it was also a massively successful game. Everybody loved it. Had a great time because now the stage is set. They're cooking. They're churning butter. They're baking the bread. They're baking the cake. They are making you a big, tasty, sizzling steak dinner with every side you want because now you get Mass Effect. Mass Effect. Now, Mass Effect came out. I got it when it came out for my computer because I got it for free with something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. I got Mass Effect 2 for free or something, but I got Mass Effect. I got it on sale, and I got Mass Effect 2 for free buying something else. Point is, I played it, and I wasn't originally into it because there was something about it that didn't click with me. Maybe it's because I was playing on computer and not console. I don't know. So originally when Mass Effect came out, didn't hit with me, but it hit with everybody else. It made everybody go nuts because here we are. Not only is it science fiction, but it's not Star Wars. It's something brand new. And your choices at the time really did matter. You had to be careful what you did because you could be a paragon or a renegade. And as Legatus mentions in the chat, I have played since my falling in love with it years later. Literally a decade later is when I really got into Mass Effect. I've played this game for over 1,000 hours at this point. That's how many times I've played it. I love this game. It's fantastic. I love the franchise. I love everything about it. It's fun to go back in and do things a little differently every time. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'll play. I find something new still every time because I'll do things a little bit of a different way, and a new dialogue I'll hear, or new this or that will pop up, a new event. It's fantastic, and this was great. So now they've got a stranglehold on RPGs. They are one of the top RPG makers in the moment right now. They've had success several years before with Knights of the Republic. Jade Empire, huge success on the Xbox, which needed RPGs. Didn't have a lot of RPGs. So you got Jade Empire was great. And then Mass Effect makes everybody go, holy shit, this is fantastic. We're having a great time. I don't know what Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood, is that a Sonic game? Let me see. I'm not sure. We'll see about cover. Yeah, it's a Sonic game. Okay, yeah. I didn't play this. Not into Sonic anymore at this point. So move on. Mass Effect Galaxy. That was just a side thing, but here it is. Now, here it is. Dragon Age Origins. I remember it's 2009. I'm moving to Florida for. I'm going there thinking I want to get out of the back of the house in the kitchen. I don't want to work on the line anymore. I thought I could transition to working the front of the house. So I'm going to Florida to get a master's in culinary business. Okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to move front of the house. I'll do manager type shit. It'd be a better deal. Well, as I'm moving, PS3 Black Friday sale. PS3 Black Friday sale a month before I'm going to move. So, of course, I bought it. I had the money, got a PS3 on Black Friday. I got God of War. It was the bundle, God of War bundle. And I went to, that same night, I went over to Best Buy. And it was a massive line because Dragon Age Origins was on sale. $20. $20. So I picked it up knowing it was just an RPG. I knew nothing about Dragon Age Origins. Nothing at all. Not a damn thing. All I knew was an RPG. And it was going to be somewhat like KOTOR. Choices matter. Like, okay, I like Bioware. I've had a lot of fun with KOTOR because at this point, KOTOR and Neverwinter Nights 2. It's not listed here, but Neverwinter Nights 2 had been out. Is listed over here. Well, they don't list Neverwinter Nights 2. That's just like, gotta say, I've also played at this point, or was around, I would say, 06, 07. I played Neverwinter Nights 2. And Neverwinter Nights 2 was incredible. Talk about choices matter. Talk about having an adventure in Faerun and Forgotten Realms and all this stuff. It was a fantastic game. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I bought the first of the expansions. Never finished that because I did get bored because I didn't like the mechanics that you were kind of de-leveled and poisoned. You weren't very strong. And anyway, so at this point, you've got. To me, they are one of the best Western RPG makers. I love it. I love KOTOR 1. I loved Neverwinter Nights 2, and I'm not seeing it here, but where's KOTOR 2? They didn't put KOTOR 2 on here either. KOTOR 2 has come out at this point as well. Okay? KOTOR 2 is out. So you got KOTOR 1, you got KOTOR 2. I've got Neverwinter Nights 2. I've played, and now here comes Dragon Age Origins. So in a 5 to 6 year period between 03 and 2009, they are the Western RPG maker with all these games that are fantastic. They are beloved. They have rabid fan bases. They're not massive. We're not talking millions upon millions upon millions of people playing. We're talking niche gaming. But it's beloved and it's great and it's solid. And they are the one. They are the one. Everybody knows if you see a Bioware game, it's probably going to be great. And you're going to get a good time. You're going to get your money's worth. But here's the thing. It's right around this time, as we saw over here. EA buys them. I believe it said it was. Let's go back up the top here. EA buys them in October 2007. So it's right around here. Right after they didn't. EA was not involved in Mass Effect 1. They were involved in everything else. They were probably around. But they were still probably hands off. They were definitely hands off with Dragon Age Origins because it's a work of art. So think about this. This is the life. BioWare is alive. It's king of the hill. Everybody loves it. It's so pretty. It's a beautiful gem that EA has to collect it and put it on a shelf and say, "We own you." That's how important they were. They weren't struggling. They were a successful indie developer. And EA said, "We're going to get you and we're going to make you bigger and we're going to squeeze you for all your life." And that's what they did because they gave them bigger budget. And yes, there was one major positive outcome of having EA money behind them. We're going to get that in a second. So here we go. 2009, as I said, I pick up Origins. I sit on it until I move. I moved at at the end of December, beginning of January, and I moved to Florida. I was only there for about 4 or 5 months because the program was a bust. I was miserable. I was unhappy, and I wanted to get out of the culinary industry completely. So that's when I would come back home, and I would then start the misguided attempt to change careers again and try and get into policy and administration, and make even bigger mountains of debt for myself. But that's a whole nother non-gaming nerd stuff related story. So, but I'm sitting there and I'm playing Origins and it blows my mind. And I think, man, they've done it again. They've started a massive franchise. This is going to be incredible. I can't wait for more of these games. These characters are fantastic. Morgan, voiced by Claudia Black, who I'm already lusting after because I've been watching Farscape for years. I'm already having a great time. It's so much fun. I replay it over and over and over. Hell, I actually even paused it in my first playthrough because they were releasing the Return to Ostagar DLC, and I wanted to wait for that before I finished it. So I waited because the game had already been out for a few months. So I paused my gameplay for a couple of weeks while my first playthrough, and then Return to Oscar came out, and then I picked it up, did that, finished it, and I thought, man, I got to play it again. But I held off. I waited at least a month before playing it again. But that's it. You got all these games. It's fantastic. And they are just loving it because they get an expansion for it. It's everybody's craving it. They want more, and never going to get more because now you get Mass Effect 2. You get Dragon Age 2. And here's where the problems begin. Mass Effect 2, retrospect, great game. I didn't play it at the time. As I said, I bought something and I got it for free, but I never actually took advantage of getting it when I did because I never went back and finished playing the first one. But Dragon Age 2. It's 2011. I am actually here where I live now getting my second BA in government and international relations. And here comes Dragon Age 2. At the same time, I'm waiting for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Here's the problem was. This is the sign of both there was a positive outcome of EA buying them and a negative. The negative. We'll go with that first because that happened first. Dragon Age 2 comes out broken to all hell. Broken to all hell. There was a bug called the slowdown bug. If you played Warrior or anything, for me it was Warrior. I played my first playthrough as a Warrior. It was a progressively bad bug, and once you had it, there was no getting rid of it. Your movement and your attacks became slower and slower and slower till you're just basically going. And I got to the end of Act 2, and I'm fighting the arrow shock, and it was impossible. No matter what I do, I just couldn't win. I couldn't run because part of the strategy of fighting the arrow shock is kiting him around the arena. So I couldn't kite him. He would just beat the crap out of me, and I'd die. And I said, "F it, done." I stopped playing because I said, I cannot play this till they fix it. It was at least, I believe, don't quote me on this. This is memory. It was at least a month, maybe 2, before the first patch that fixed the slowdown bug. And you had to start your game over. The files were corrupted. There was no fixing a game that had the slowdown bug. It simply patched it out of the game, but it couldn't fix your progress. So I had to restart. And once I restarted, played the hell out of it. Had a great time. I loved it. Dragon Age 2 is still a fun game. I played it last year as I replayed it in our attempt to get ready for Veilguard. But Dragon Age 2 was fun. It was great. But there's the problem. There's a rot in Bioware now. Every game before this, at least to my knowledge and my experience playing them, nothing broken. No problems. No bugs. I'm sure there were patches. There's always patches. But the games came out and they worked. Dragon Age 2 comes out and it doesn't work. It was unheard of, at least for me. As a primarily RPG gamer, strategy gamer, when I bought games, they worked. Now, I can't tell you if at the time it was becoming more common because I didn't play a lot of FPSs and played a lot of stuff. Yeah, you're saying Jade Empire is still broken? Okay. I only played that a little bit. So, it did, well, yeah, it came out before Dragon Age 2, but it was on the Xbox. Well, it was only, let's be honest, Xbox games had issues a lot, and it wasn't so much the game. Sometimes it was Xbox, let's be honest. But I only played it a little bit, so I never experienced, but on the Xbox, it worked. On PC, I don't know. You say, yeah, I see your thing. Okay. Oh yeah. So if the PC version, well, that's more an issue for, I would say, Third Eye. I would say that's a porting issue where the real version is the console version, and the port to PC didn't get the love and attention. We're seeing that now today in a lot of games. They make these games for consoles and they don't take the time to really make it a good PC version of it. So, as far as I know, all console versions to games of these up to this point worked. Dragon Age 2 is the first time a console game from Bioware didn't work at launch. And it destroyed so many people's immersion and experience starting the game. And this is the beginning of a trend with Bioware. And this is the beginning. There is a sickness, and they could have cured it if they weren't a part of EA. If they weren't a part of EA, I don't think it would have happened. I think they would have taken their time, quality assurance, quality check, make sure everything works. No. With EA, it's you got to get it out now. We got to make our money. Fix it in post. Fix it with a patch. Don't worry about it. They're just dumb gamers. They'll give you their money. We didn't know any better at the time. We did give them our money because we didn't know any better at the time. We didn't know any better. We didn't know, as of the PS3 era, the Xbox 360 era, that we were entering the era of gaming where they're gonna make incomplete, unfinished games, and they're gonna thrust them upon us, and they're gonna fix it as they go along because they have to meet their deadlines. And this is where they begin to die. The life of Bioware has ended. They are now beginning what we now understand to be a slow rot, not because of agenda, but because of corporate greed. That's where it started. Corporate greed. So we move on. Same year. Now here's the positive. SWTOR, Star Wars, my beloved Star Wars, the Old Republic. Some of the to this day greatest MMO gaming I've ever had experienced, with great people, great adventures, great times, hours and hours just immersed in Star Wars. It's technically got Knights of the Old Republic 3 built out for. If you're watching this, you complain, oh, they should have made KOTOR 3. They did make KOTOR 3. It's the Jedi Knight arc, the Jedi Knight story in SWTOR. That is KOTOR 3. Whether you like it or not, it was KOTOR 3. That was the story they were going to tell. And they redid it and put it in SWTOR as the Jedi Knight story arc. So it's there. You can go in there. You can play KOTOR 3. It's great. I love the Jedi Knight storyline. It's fantastic. All the storylines are great. But this was an ambitious project. Bioware made the first fully voice-acted MMORPG. Every single interaction in the game, voice acting. 8 individual, fully fleshed out stories of hours and hours and hours of gameplay each in a single game. Yes, it was pay to play. You had a subscription service, but that's how MMOs work. That is how it is. And that's why it was great. This game was incredible. And this couldn't have happened without EA, without the EA money to allow them to do it. They worked on this game for 4 years, and that was a lot back then. They worked on this game for 4 years, and it was fantastic. It was never going to be a WoW killer, and it came out at the same time as Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, which crashed and burned because they didn't take the time to make a good game with that. But this came out glorious. Thing is, though, it was a separate department from Bioware and EA. They had its own little thing that existed in a bubble. This is, of course, right around the time. This is right before. It's 2011, so it's right before Disney bought Star Wars. Right before. So this existed while Disney Star Wars took over, but that's why it was also kind of saved from the problem, because it was kind of baked in to the deal, and Disney couldn't F around with it. They didn't bother to. But SWTOR was fantastic. And this is, for a minute, you think, okay, I had a bad experience with Dragon Age, but man, here comes SWTOR. It's fantastic. I'm having a great time. I'm in love with Bioware all over again. And you think, okay, everything's fine. Bioware's fine. No problems. They give me this great experience. It's great. Right now, they are testing a macOS version. And if they put it back and it works, I might start streaming that again. I might resub for a little bit. We might pick up where we left off when I was replaying the stories for people who haven't seen it, because it'll be much easier and it'll probably play better too if I stream it on this end. So if they do that, I might go back. My bad. Now SWTOR today has a lot of problems, but that's more because it started off great, but their BioWare's team in charge of it, they were very slow. It was BioWare Austin at the time, and their roadmap for content release was very slow. They didn't get expansions out fast enough. They didn't update stuff fast enough. They fixed bugs pretty quickly. They did do that. They were very good about fixing bugs. Patch days were constant. Every Tuesday was servers came down. They fixed it. They brought them back up. But it degraded over the years, and to a point now where it is a shell of its former self. It is not what it once was. The stories, we'll talk about that another time because that's a dedicated discussion. But SWTOR was great. Mass Effect 3 came out right after. We know that Mass Effect 3 at the time had a very divisive release because of the ending, because the ending was all left up. And they came out with a patch and a fix, but most of it was liked. But still, there's a problem. You gave us Mass Effect 3, but you kind of botched the ending a little bit originally. Kind of botch it. You don't give everybody enough. You don't give everybody a satisfying thing to your choices matter, and you start to wonder what's going on here. Now, of course, I wasn't playing at the time, so I didn't give a shit. It wasn't my problem. But if I'd been playing, I might have been aware that SWTOR existing in BioWare Austin was the outlier as the dark times move forward. All right. So let's recap. We are roughly, we go back, first game was 97. Let's go back up here. First game, 96. And now we are in 2012. So we're well over a decade. We're almost 20 years in here. We're in 2012. We're almost 20 years. Almost 20 years in Bioware's existence, and they are They're still great. Our complaints about the Dragon Age thing, we kind of let that go. Mass Effect 3, they fixed it. People don't grumble as much. But now we're moving forward. I don't know what Warhammer Online Wrath of Heroes was. It looks like it was a battle arena game. It was not Age of Reckoning. That was Mythic, who was also owned by EA when they butchered Warhammer Age of Reckoning. That was years before this. That was a whole different thing. That's another EA problem. Command and Conquer, RTS stuff. I didn't play Command and Conquer. I can't really speak to if there were any problems with that. But let's get now to Dragon Age Inquisitions. 2014. I am finishing up my first master's degree. And you played CNC General's Third Eye? I'll take your, if it was good, then you are my source that it was fine, that there were no problems. But we do have no problems with Inquisition per se. I love Inquisition. I thought Inquisition was great. I've replayed it so many times, so much so that when we tried doing our last replay of it, I got not only I was double problem with that. I was brokenhearted with Veilguard coming in, but also I'd played it so many times I wasn't having fun anymore because I played it every single way. There's nothing new in Inquisition left for me. Point is, though, in 2014, I got it and I replayed it over and over again. It was great. There were no bugs in it that I really remember. Nothing serious. There were little things in there that might have been agenda. Suddenly, all the females are ugly, except Liliana, who you couldn't romance for a retarded reason. But now we have a problem. It's 2015, and suddenly, why are all the other women not beautiful? Why does Sarah and her weirdo shit exist? Why is Iron Bull bisexual? I mean, we already had Zevran be bisexual in the previous game, but it didn't feel normal to make Iron Bull bisexual. You understand what I'm saying? Zevran, it made sense in the first game. His whole story, how he did. But Iron Bull swinging both ways, it felt like somebody slipped that in there in the way that you don't want them to. But I ignored it because I had fun with the game and I loved it. I played it over and over again. And there were no real problems with it because it was still choices matter, consequences matter. What you do changes the world around you. You get people this and that. You get bonuses for keeping people alive, letting people go, whatever. And it was great. Little did I know that from this point forward, I'm never going to get a great Bioware game again. And I say great. I say great because I'm going to couch that in a moment here. But I never get a Bioware game again that blows my mind, that takes me to the heights of ultimate insane, I'm nerdgasming in my pants gaming. Not going to get that again. Because we go over here now. Shadow Realms, I never played that. But I did, of course, play Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I picked up Mass Effect Andromeda at least, I want to say, 2 or 3 months after its release. Because what happened was, this is when I came back from China. No, I'm sorry, I picked it up way back. I came back from China after my disastrous trip, attempt to move there, live there, work there in late 2016. And I was a physical mess. I had real coof, not the engineered stuff. I had nearly broken my foot, but torn multiple tendons and muscles in my right foot to the point where I was gimped for a year. I couldn't really walk well. I had to let it heal because to this day, the muscle didn't really regenerate properly. You know, there's a missing muscle bump on my right foot. But I was a physical wreck and I played a lot of video games. And this was the moment when I picked up Mass Effect Trilogy on the PS3 for $4. $4 on sale on the PlayStation Store. I thought, well, I need things to play. I can't move. I'm tired all the time. I can't do anything. So I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to give Mass Effect another try. It's $4, $3.99. It's worth $4. And whoa, baby. You guys know how much I love it. I already talked about it. A world opens up to me. I replayed it 3 or 4 times in a couple of months. I loved it so much. doing things different. All different relationships. Who am I going to romance? Male shep, fem shep, male shep, fem shep, going back and forth. I fell in love. Mass Effect is one of my favorite franchises of all time because of this. And you go roughly a year later, and here comes Andromeda, and I picked it up not on release because I wanted to wait because I heard it was a buggy mess. Whoa, look what happened. They've released a game, and it's a buggy mess. Now, by the time I got my hands on it, all the bugs were fixed. All you were left with was the game itself. Whether you like it or not, I don't hate Mass Effect Andromeda. I actually like it for what it is. I enjoy it when I play it. But everybody else hated it. Everybody else, I would say it's like an 80-20. 80% of the fan base hates Andromeda. Maybe 85. Because they had a horrible buggy experience, and it was not what they wanted from Mass Effect franchise. And this is 2017. This is a mere now 8 years ago. It's been 8 years. God damn, I'm old. The cancer is spread. The cancer is spread at this point, where you're going to release a game that is that broken at launch. Something's wrong in Whoville. Something's wrong. And then they're going to release, and then they're going to release Anthem. I never played Anthem, but I know the horror stories. Anthem, broken, unfinished mess. No content, no nothing. They don't do anything. Anthem was a disaster. So now back-to-back games. 2017 Andromeda, 2019 Anthem. Problems all over the place. Bioware, the shine is off. People who have the original people who worked on all these great games, all these franchises, they're gone. They've left. They've tried to start their own studios, but couldn't quite recapture the magic. Bioware has been poisoned by Electronic Arts. And now we have to understand, this is 2017. What we don't know, 2017, 2019, between this period of time, what we don't know is that the woke agenda infestation has begun. The parasite, a new type. We've had greed. Greed was all we were dealing with up to this point. But suddenly, you look at Andromeda. Look at Andromeda. All the women are ugly, except the lesbian. Except your Scottish lesbian navigator. She's the only hot one, and if you're a male writer, you can't F her. So all the other women are ugly. Even base femme writers, you have to get in there and work with the character creator. My femme writer is hot. She's a smoke show, dude. Little Asian look to her. White hair, black streaks. She's a smoke show. You'd love her. If I ever do an Andromeda playthrough, I'll fire it up with her because she was a rock star. My femme writer's a rock star, baby. If I think I have my save data. I'm pretty sure I still have my save data. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I don't. I'd have to look. Remember, this is when my PS4 died. The hard drive died, and I was saving as much as I could, literally as it's dying, and I might not have made it to the Andromeda stuff. I'd have to go look. But there's a problem. Buggy game, ugly women. The agenda was there. We just didn't know it yet. This 2017. We didn't know the woke mind virus was there. Didn't know. I mean, and yeah, Phoebe's okay, but Phoebe ain't no Liara. Phoebe ain't no Samara. Phoebe is not. She's not a super hot Asari. She's not. She's okay. Listen, I effed around with her on my male writer. We had a fling. Don't get me wrong. I had the fling with Phoebe. I did it. But she ain't the babes. She ain't the Asari babes of Mass Effect. Yeah, she was a mid. But here we go. The woke mind virus. So we don't know. No, but this is the truth. It's dying. They have the woke cancer is in them. The parasite is draining the life, but we don't know it. It's already dead at this point. It's already dead. But then they give us a moment of a flash of brilliance when we get Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, I said when I wasn't going to get a great game again, but technically I already had these games. This is just remastered, looking beautiful. And I love Legendary Edition. I've replayed it. I've added it to my replays of the whole thing. So Legendary Edition was fantastic. But here's the problem. At this point, it's 2021. Everybody knew there was something wrong in Bioware. We knew there was a problem, both in development and agenda. So when they announced that they were shifting that single frame of Miranda's perfect ass so that you didn't see it, a lot of people, a lot of big YouTubers in our sphere jumped on this and ran with it forever, even when it was proven wrong by people like me who played the game and showed you it wasn't in the end. That was the only censorship in the entire game. But there was the problem. The fact that they even did it was the problem, but the problem was everybody knows that it was happening. They shouldn't have censored it. But a lot of people didn't understand that was it. The rest of the game completely uncensored. Dancing, jiggling, sex scenes, all there. All the way they were in the original games. But the ass thing. My theory is to this day that the ass move was to appease the woke mind virus activists. Give them that little bit of crumb, and they left the rest of the game alone. They left the rest of the game alone, and it came out. That's why it's 99.9% fine. That one thing shouldn't be there, but the rest of the game is as I remember it from all my previous playthroughs. But it doesn't mean it was right. And it shows that they are willing to entreat with the activists. They let them in the door. They bent the knee. And even though it wasn't game-breaking, it was still a bending of the knee. And what does it get you? Veilguard. 2024, 3 years later, the height of the woke mind virus as we know it. Veilguard. Everything that Bioware never was. This game is a gay, tranny dating simulator. It breaks the lore of everything that came before it. And they said, we don't care about the lore. We don't care about the lore. We're going to focus on our game. We're going to focus on that. We're going to put a dude who's pretending to be a woman as our fourth game director. This thing was in development hell for a decade. Went through four narrative directors. Maybe it's three. Maybe I'm adding a fourth one out of hyperbolic ramblings. But there were a lot. This game got rewritten, remade 3 to 4 different times. Not remotely resembling what it was. So we got the Veilguard. The Veilguard, because it's about your companions. It's not about saving the world. It's about the journey to get there with your friends who are going to fuck you in the ass. That's what it's about. And what has it done? Dismurdered Bioware completely. Bioware is a walking corpse because of this game. They betrayed their fan base. Everything that I had loved through all these years, through 20 years, gone in an instant. Just gone. And here we are. Bioware. Bioware is done. There's one more. The only thing they got, they've been working on it for 5 years now. Mass Effect, they call it 5. It's really 4 because Andromeda is not Mass Effect 4. This game is their last chance. It's a drop of sap from the tree of life. If it lands and it's real, they have a chance to survive. If it fails, the funeral is official. Right now, we're doing a funeral. This is a funeral march right now Funeral March. And I hold on. Dre allows me to hold on to a dental floss thin thread of hope. That's what I'm allowed to do. Because we've seen when the Veilguard news broke and how bad it was, and we know how bad it is now, 1.5 million copies sold entirely. They needed 10 million to break even, and that would have been $1.5 billion. They were never going to get there. Inquisition only sold 13.2 million in its lifetime, and that was because of its point in the console generations, where one, it had a broader appeal. It was on more platforms as opposed to the previous games, which weren't always available on all platforms. But Veilguard was never going to get there. They lost all that money on it. And now Mass Effect 4, I'm going to call it 4 because that's what it is, Mass Effect 4. Mass Effect 4, I'm going to say it, it shouldn't even be made. Because we're going back to the Milky Way. I got hiccups now. Hold on one second. Apologize for that, but that's how somebody tell Ryan Kindle that's how you get rid of the hiccups. Hold your breath for 10 seconds and re-regulate your breathing. That's all you got to do. Nothing crazy, no spook, no nothing that. You got to re-regulate your breathing. Maybe once or twice. I usually do it twice, but we're on a stream here. I can't afford to go dead air for another 10 seconds. But usually guys see, look, I'm fine. It's gone. 10 seconds. I'm living proof. That's how you get rid of hiccups. Anyway, there shouldn't be a Mass Effect 4. We should not go back to a post-Reaper Mass Effect because the ending is what you chose it. The ending is what you chose it to be, what you created it to be. And if you chose the canonical ending, there is a canonical ending, destroy the Reapers. Don't merge. Don't put yourself in to make glowy green DNA people. Shepard lives. Shepard lives. But they need, if they do this, the only way they do this is go far enough in the future where you can obfuscate the ending a little bit. No Shepard. We know Liara's in it because we saw her in some teaser material years ago. We know the Geth are going to be in it. We know the Geth, or at least we used to be in a previous incarnation. They used to be a focal point of it. Point is, they're going by Milky Way, but I don't want this to happen. I really don't want this to happen. I like my Mass Effect the way it is. I like the way it is. I would have liked it if they kept going with Andromeda. Finish the DLC. Give me more story. Because it's separate from the original game. But this is their last chance because they're dead now. The Funeral March is happening. If Mass Effect is done, it's not going to work. But as I said a moment ago, I got sidetracked. Excuse me. The director of Mass Effect 4 said that we have nothing to do with Veilguard, even though they borrowed our people to finish it, and it shows. Veilguard gameplay looks like Mass Effect. That's why it's not Dragon Age. It looks because they brought in Mass Effect teams to finish the game. But he said, we are not Veilguard. We're a different studio. We're a different department. Don't worry. It's not going to be anything like that. We're gonna stay true to our fans. So that's my dental floss thin thread of hope. That's my thread of hope right there. And I want to hold on to it, that they're going to give me one last great experience. You know what? Let this be the end. Because you might not know this, SWTOR, Bioware doesn't even own it anymore. They sold SWTOR to somebody else. SWTOR is owned by a different studio now. A different company runs SWTOR. They don't own it anymore. They don't. Forget the name at the moment, but you understand it. Yeah, you're right. Why the Quarian DLC? What happened to the Quarian ship in Andromeda? What happened? I completed everything, ready for that to go. What happened to the Quarian ship? Where is it? They left a lot of threads open there. But here we are. This is it. This is 2025. This game's probably at least 2 years away, minimum. Minimum 2 years away. But Bioware has nothing else. They have Nothing else. And that's sad. Bioware, so I will say it again. This is the life and now the death of Bioware. And it is because it started with corporate greed. Corporate greed gave us buggy games, incomplete games, but then Agenda gave us games filled with bullshit. Because listen, we may, as gamers and fans, customers, we hate it when the game is buggy, but if it gets fixed and it's a good game, we can forgive a lot. You can't fix something like this that is poisoned to the root. Its very roots were poisonous. There is no saving a bad game with bad writing, bad characters, bad story that insults not only the gamer, but the world it was based in. Veilguard insults everything that came before it. There is nothing here. This isn't a Dragon Age game. And that is why it is dead, because it is now killed Bioware. Because, and this is kind of what spurred my wanting to do this week, was the news that Bioware, that their poor performance was in the end the final straw that caused an EA stock collapse this week. Now, I've talked about it in these videos. I talked about it earlier today on Roundtable. The EA stock drop, there are a lot of factors in it, but the Dragon Age Veilguard failure is the final straw. It is a major factor. Some people want to say, oh, it's the other live service stuff for EA Sports. That did it too. They spent 10 years making this game. They incurred a debt of $1.5 billion making Veilguard. And they didn't make anything of that back. Not even a drop. $1.5 million, that's a freaking piece of hair sitting on your drink. It floated in there, and it doesn't even make a ripple. I want to say another metaphor, but I want to keep it clean. So that's the truth. That's how bad BioWare is right now. They helped push EA over to a point where they had a massive failure financially this week. And they had to admit it. Because remember, the CEO of EA came out during the Veilguard launch, said, hey, it's going to be great. We love BioWare. They're getting back to their roots. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, that dude just looks like an idiot now because he didn't even look at the game. Had no idea. Never even probably looked at a Dragon Age game in his life. And here we are. They're dead now. They're dead. They got one chance left. And even if Mass Effect 4 is one of the greatest games ever made, it doesn't save the business. Doesn't save doesn't save BioWare at all. Doesn't save them. Because they're out of IPs. You can't make Mass Effect 4 and have that be your only thriving IP. Because people aren't going to want to wait 5 to 6 years for another Mass Effect game. Because you saw the release schedule I showed you. Every other year was a new game. It's not until EA took over and really started putting pressure on suddenly, the time drags on. There's longer times between new games, this and that, and then they're all buggy messes. For years, game, everything working fine. Multiple healthy franchises. Here we are. They're dead because they have one franchise left on life support. Mass Effect is on life support. Dragon Age is dead. They don't own the rights to KOTOR anymore. Disney took it. They got nothing. That's why they're dead. They don't have the creative geniuses left in BioWare to come up with anything new. That's the problem. There's nothing new. No new IPs, no new nothing will arise from BioWare anymore. That's why they're dead. There's no new IPs. There's no new games. They got nothing. And we are the worst for it. I don't like that I had to do this stream, that I'm making this video, this content. I don't like this. I don't want to celebrate the death of BioWare. But I will tell the truth. It's over. For all the reasons I've listed tonight. When Mass Effect 4 comes out, I will buy it. I will play it. I will stream it. We will find out together when it happens. Will it be a swan song? Will it be a one last noble fight? Or will it be a complete disaster on the level of Veilguard? I don't know. We're going to find out, though. There it is, guys. That's the life and death of BioWare. I hope you enjoyed my little tale here, my laying it all out, when it worked, when it didn't, when it fell apart, what made it fall apart. And that's it. That's it. It's a bummer. I know this was a bummer one. I'm sorry. There's not a lot of fun to be found with this. And maybe if some other people have been on tonight had a chance, we would have shared some good stories. But I hate being the bummer, but it is what it is. Either way, that's it. I got nothing left for you guys on this one. We're going to wrap it up. And since I do have, as I said, I got someplace else to be for another stream or recording of a stream. So thank you one and all for joining me. Again, once again, I know it was a big sports night. So I'm happy for those of you who showed up watching it live. I hope some more people come around. This will stay visible. I'm not, the whole unlisting experiment is over. Not going to do that anymore. It didn't actually, things got worse when I unlisted my streams. So I'm leaving the streams up again. So you'll see this. I don't think I've made an autopsy playlist. I'm going to make an autopsy playlist. We've done 3 or 4 of these now. So I'm going to make an autopsy playlist, make that available. Either way, thank you one and all. I hope everybody has a good night. Remember to share out the channel, share the stream, share the links, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, guys. If you had a good time tonight, hit that like button. Show the algorithm that I exist, that you're having a good time. And I will see you guys on the next stream or video. Until then, take it easy, guys. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.